the businesses to you, but it was 8 businesses, either on the intersection, at the intersection, or on Banker. Again, he sent that to the community board, so you guys have it on your records. But I'm happy to continue conversations with all of those businesses.
Eric, if I make a suggestion, I would not be voting on this without the input from those businesses. And I personally have not seen the list of businesses that support.
Okay. Marie did send it around about an hour ago. So it is out there. You can take a look at it when you get a chance. And Simon and Karen, I agree that we need to hear from those businesses. Before, it's been impossible to really talk to a lot of the businesses for obvious reasons. But according to the timeline, Jessica, if I'm not wrong, we're not looking to do this summer anyway. Is that right?
I mean, the goal would be like August or September, but yeah, we have time to do that outreach.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So are we voting on this today?
No, not today, Simon.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Committee, anybody else? Willis, Ryan?
Hi, this is Kevin Costa.
Kevin, go ahead.
Quick question. Has there been any effort made to reach out to DEP to kind of assess whether or not within the plaza there's any room to put in like rain gardens or bioswales, anything like that? I know it's not so relevant to transportation, but in that kill two birds with one stone could be kind of beneficial to the community.
Yeah, I mean, so if this becomes a capital project, we would for sure do that, since this would be an in-house project and we would be doing it in all of our interim materials. We wouldn't be doing any sort of invasive construction, right? So there just wouldn't be, it's not within the scope. But again, anything we put in paint on the ground, we aim to build out capitally. So it's, the toolkit is epoxy gravel and planters and markings and bike parking and flexible delineators, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Eric, this is Willis. There's
Sure.
no other, the only comment in the section was from Brendan of Silk Road saying that he was unable to get in contact with Lucky Tomatoes, but I guess I wanted to try to clarify, I share Karen's concern that I don't want there to be pushback if we're to approve this from the local businesses. So are we suggesting like a timeline to DOT to get in touch with the businesses specifically on that stretch? Or, my thought is if we had that by next week's meeting, potentially the board, right, could vote on it. Or Aaron, could you help facilitate that conversation with Lucky?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so besides Lucky's, you have the sculptor there, right, Karen?
Barry Expo's on the next block. There's a couple of other businesses that we could reach out to as well.
Okay. After this, Karen, if you can send a list of the businesses, or we can have a conversation and go through it, and rope in Jessica and I guess Brendan, because Brendan's kind of a partner in this.
Definitely.
Okay.
Include
All right.
Rhonda as well, please.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Include Rhonda as well?
Yes, include Rhonda.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I always do that, but yes. And so we may be able, maybe vote with this.
Eric, I
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
question. Could we vote on this conditionally? Like if, assuming that we have support from, Karen shaking her head, from Lucky's, would the committee vote to approve this pending support for the plan? My concern is just that it's June, and if we don't vote on this next week, that this might not get implemented, and then we start facing the winter situation.
I guess I have a question. Are we having an August meeting? Sorry, guys.
I don't think we know that. Marie, you don't have any insight on that, do you?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, conditionally, Jessica, you said that the only thing you needed the vote on was for the direction change, but without that, it really the other aspects really can't happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, the reversal, it can happen. It's more complicated and actually it causes some like level of service problems at the intersection or downgrades at the intersection. So we wouldn't want to implement without the reversal.
Okay. And then while we're talking about that, Joe Alberti has a question about the confusion and light timing, I guess. Just worried about traffic coming from 3 directions. And is there any plan to change the light? I mean, the light would have to change because of the traffic pattern, I would assume, right? So
at the intersection of Callier and Franklin.
uh-huh.
Well, so
That's I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The intersection Becker and Mesrol.
that's a stop sign, so it would become a 3-way stop.
Okay. Okay.
Does that answer his light timing
He'll
signal?
text me in a minute to tell me.
Okay.
Joe, send me a text. Okay. So I hear you well, and I'm open to that. I'm willing to poll the committee for those who'd like to have a vote, conditional vote. It'll have to be. Does anyone not want to conditionally vote on this now? Maybe that's easier.
I think it's premature. I think we should wait.
That's 1 no from Simon. Anybody else? It's a conditional vote, remember. It's not, we're saying yes. We're saying it's conditional on outreach to Lucky's and the other businesses and getting their approval. Yes, Karen?
I would say no.
You would say no. Anybody else no?
Not until I would like them to come back with whatever recommendations or adjustments,
I agree with Karen.
feedback.
Who was that?
That was James Stewart. I agree. I think we need to wait and get their feedback.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So we will table this. There will be a July Transportation Committee meeting. I'm guessing that there will be also a July full board, only because we missed so many and there's so much work to do. So let's give it that extra 30 days, ish, and we'll come back to it.
Okay, great.
I would like to see this happen this year. I think it's a great plan, as everybody knows already. but it is important that we get that turning radius, all that stuff really sorted out and everybody's happy. Okay, so Joe wants a traffic light, but it's going to be a three-way stop. Yes, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, so there are federal standards by which we have to adhere when we want to implement any sort of stop control. So the volumes don't call for a signal here; they call for a stop.
Okay. Okay, so you do have the volume counts at that
Yes.
intersection. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes.
How close to a light is it, if you can say? Like, what is the?
I can't say off the top of my head, but I can look into it and get back to you when I come back.
Yeah, that would be useful. And then I think what we'll do, you know, assuming that we get everything planned and we approve it and the board approves it, we can go back and see how it's working over the course of a few months, few normal months, and then go back and maybe ask for a new study on that intersection if we're having problems.
Yep.
Does anybody else have anything on this item? Going once, going twice. Okay. Jessica, thank you very much for your work and for all the people working on this issue. It's a great plan. Hopefully we can get it all squared away and make it work for everybody. All right, now for the main event. Wide Avenue exit on the BQE. All right, so do we have Greg? Is it Greg Haas? Sorry.
Yes, I'm on. This is Greg.
Okay, I think this is your show.
Okay, how do I get my screen to show? What do I have to do anything?
Marie?
I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay. Are we ready now?
Not yet, Greg.
Okay. Okay, I just got a message that I'm now the presenter. Can everybody see the title slide that says BQE off ramp?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
I believe he has to share his screen.
So Greg, in the bottom row where all those dots with the little symbols are, there's the third one from the left is a share content button.
Okay, I press that. Okay, share content. Okay, now what?
It'll have you choose a screen. So like if it's a PDF and you have it in Adobe, choose that.
Okay, all right, screen one.
There we go.
Perfect.
Okay. Can everybody see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, this presentation is about the BQE off-ramp for the westbound BQE at Wythe Avenue. And the problem is that the ramp vehicles that exit onto Wythe Avenue back way up, like over a half a mile, all the way up to about Marcy Avenue. And the intersection of Williamsburg Street West and Wythe Avenue is treacherous because the vehicles coming from the right-hand side, which is Williamsburg Street West, they're allowed to turn left. and the vehicles coming from the left, which is the ramp, they're allowed to turn right. So it's a very dangerous intersection. And as I said before, vehicles back up onto the BQE. Okay, so if you look at this photo here, you can see there's a long queue spillback on the highway. And if you look in the inset on the lower right of the screen, you can see the chaos. And if you look at the vehicle where the yellow circle is, that's a perfect example of a vehicle from the Williamsburg Street West Service Road who wants to turn left, and he has to perform this dangerous maneuver. And vehicles also do the reverse. They're coming from the ramp and they turn right. And again, as I said before, the queue length extends about half a mile, and it takes, during the PM rush hour, it takes 5 to 6 minutes. If you're traveling on the BQE and you exit to Wythe Avenue, it takes 5 or 6 minutes till you get to Wythe Avenue. Okay, so the photo on the left-hand side is looking north from Lee Avenue, and you can see the cars backing up all the way to Marcy Avenue and beyond sometimes. The photo on the right-hand side is looking south from the Marcy Avenue overpass. And so you can see the long queues. And I don't have to tell you guys this. I know you guys already know this. Again, a photo that shows that this photo captures the chaos of vehicles. We call that weaving. Okay. Now, you see the 4 boxes. Let's look at the box in the upper left-hand corner, the one that's titled Weekday AM Peak. The red there for the service road shows the volume of vehicles that turn left, go through, and right. So from the service road, from Williamsburg Street West, there's 237 vehicles that turn left, 336 that go through, 62 that turn right. The blue is the same turning movements for the ramp volume. And then the green in between and below is the combined total. So that's what actually turns. The green is what actually turns once you get to Wythe Avenue. The red and the blue is where they come from. The other boxes are from other time periods. And the busiest times are the weekday AM, which is the upper left-hand box, and the weekday PM, which is the lower left-hand box. And again, if you look at the upper left-hand box, the problem is the red 237 and the blue 41. Okay, so what we're proposing is basically a scaled back version of what we proposed last year. We would like to ban the southbound left from the service road and also ban the southbound right from the BQE ramp. So this is a cross section, a typical cross section. The upper diagram, both diagrams are looking north onto Williamsburg Street West from Wythe Avenue. The upper diagram is the way it is today. There's no markings. There's 2 lanes. And as I mentioned before, people turn left from the middle lane. They turn right from the left lane. So the proposal on the bottom is to separate the movements, separate the traffic from Williamsburg Street West and from the ramp, so that if you're coming from Williamsburg Street West, you can go through or turn right. If you're coming from the ramp, you can go through or turn left. You cannot cross over. Here's a drawing of what we're proposing. Excuse me, in this drawing, north is to the left. So you could see we would separate the traffic from the service road and from the ramp. It would be with a Jersey barrier and then what we call delineators, the plastic delineators. They look like bowling pins. And that would physically separate the movements. when we proposed this last year, we proposed having 3 lanes total at the approach, which meant that it would preclude all right turn, but we're backing off on that. So there would only be 2 lanes approaching the intersection, separated as shown. And again, last year we proposed on the far side, once you cross Wythe Avenue, there's buses parked in the right-hand lane, and we were proposing converting that to a travel lane. We are not proposing that anymore. So this is, again, this is a scaled back version of what we proposed last year. So again, you got the Burt Jersey barrier and the delineators, no left turn from Williamsburg Street West, no right turn from the BQE exit. Okay, so the diverted traffic, again, the traffic from the ramp that if we do this, would not be able to turn right onto Wythe Avenue. There's 41 vehicles per hour during the AM rush hour, 17 during the PM rush hour. They would have to go out of their way 1 block and bear right onto Hughes Street and then turn right onto Kent Avenue. And if their destination is on Wythe, they would have to kind of backtrack a block out of their way. Likewise, if you're originating from Williamsburg Street West and today you turn left onto Wythe, you would be forced to go 1 block further south to Kent, and it is quite a few vehicles, 237 during the AM rush hour, 137 during the PM rush hour, and you would go 1 block out of your way to Kent and turn left. So there'd be less vehicles on Wythe Avenue between Williamsburg Street West and East, but more vehicles on Kent Avenue between Williamsburg Street West and East. We may need a new signal at Kent Avenue and Penn Street. If you're traveling eastbound on Kent Avenue and you want to turn left onto Penn Street, it's already kind of hairy to do that. It's tough to find a gap. But if we did this, there's a very good chance that we would need a traffic signal there. So that's the gist of it. To summarize, there's advantages and disadvantages. The advantages certainly improve safety at Williamsburg Street West and Wythe Avenue. It increases the capacity by prohibiting the weaving movements. It increases safety on the BQE itself because the queue would not spill back onto the main line. The travel time for the ramp traffic that exits onto Wythe Avenue is expected to be reduced from the current 5 to 6 minutes to 1 to 2 minutes. And of course, there'd be less traffic on Wythe Avenue between Williamsburg Street West and Williamsburg Street East. The disadvantages, as I mentioned earlier, there would be some circuitous driving. And let me just mention that this is the same treatment on the BQE. If you're coming from the Kosciuszko Bridge, the first exit is for Meeker Morgan. The setup at that exit is exactly the same way. Also, at the exit for Metropolitan Avenue, the exit is exactly the same way as what we're proposing. Now, the exit, if you're going Queensbound, the exit to Flushing Avenue, there it's a little bit different. There, the signal from the service road, which is Classen Avenue, and the signal from Flushing Avenue, they have separate phases where they take turns. We're able to do that at that location, and it wouldn't mess anything up because there's 2 lanes from the service road and there's 2 lanes from the ramp. If we did that here and gave Williamsburg Street West a separate phase from the ramp, that would make things worse because there's not enough room. There's only enough room for 2 lanes total, which is 1 lane each. So the treatment that we do at eastbound Flushing Avenue exit where it merges with Classen Avenue, we cannot do that here. It would make it worse. So anyway, continuing with the disadvantages, we would be dumping more traffic on Williamsburg Street West between Wythe and Kent. There would be more traffic on Kent. Another thing that may happen is that more vehicles may use the Wythe-Kent Avenue exit. We think that drivers avoid that exit because it takes so long to use it. We think drivers go out of there, which is kind of an advantage too. Drivers go out of their way to avoid the Wythe-Kent Avenue exit because of this, that's for sure. So it would probably induce more vehicles to use that. And you could look at that as an advantage or a disadvantage either way. And once again, we will probably need a traffic signal at Kent Avenue and Penn Avenue to handle all the extra traffic onto Kent Avenue. So we're awaiting your feedback and
Okay.
There's a question that someone raised in the chat. Why can't we have 2 traffic signals, one for the off-ramp and one for Williamsburg Street, just like we have at the off-ramp on Classen and Flushing, so we can have vehicles still turn and not have them spill by Kent?
if we did that, it's because there's not enough room. If we did that, that would make things worse. If you'd have to have green time for Wythe Avenue and then green time for Williamsburg Street West and then green time for the ramp. If we did that, it would make the problem worse because there'd be less time for Williamsburg Street West and for the ramp. The reason it works at Classen and the Flushing Avenue exit is because there's 2 lanes. There's enough room there when it's green for the exit ramp, 2 lanes of traffic proceed on the green. And then when it's green for Classen Avenue, 2 lanes of traffic proceed. If we did that here, it's fed by only 1 lane and there's no room to expand it. So it would not work here because there's not enough room to have 2 lanes. For 2 lanes for each.
Right.
That was the first thing we looked at to do that, and it would make things worse.
That's Greg. That's probably the best explanation of why we can't do a split light there that I've heard yet. Especially with the comparison to Classen. At some point, we will need to go back and revisit. Well, that's not in CB1, so maybe we won't. But that Williamsburg Street's east exit is quite an issue. I am a little concerned about extra traffic on Kent. Assuming that this goes forward, the traffic light that you're proposing to help the flow on Kent is all part of the same plan, right? So that's going to happen at the same time, or you're going to have to wait and see what happens on Kent?
Well, here's the thing. We're not sure of the vehicles that are diverted. They come down. If they used to turn left onto Wythe, if they have to go down to Kent and then turn left, we're not sure how many would turn left again up Williamsburg Street East versus going straight, continuing straight on Kent.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough to predict.
Mm-hmm.
We may put the signal in anyway, or we may take a wait and see approach.
Okay.
We would know if we would know in about a week or 2, and of course we're not going to do this unless you guys vote on it anyway. But we may just take a wait and see approach, implement it first, observe, and put the signal in if necessary. Because again, if the majority of the traffic continues through on Kent, then we don't really need a signal. But if too much traffic turns left, we will need a signal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I also it's a good point that the Meeker and Metropolitan Avenue exits follow this kind of pattern where they have to travel an extra block. Now, Meeker is relatively easy to transit. There's never a lot of backup on Meeker or on the exits to it. Sometimes at the Meeker Avenue exit. But this kind of reminds me of the exit off of the LIE at Van Dam, where you can't make the left onto Van Dam. You have to travel, if you're familiar with that
Yes,
intersection. And then you have to go down to, I forget what street that is, but then you have to go down and kind of do a box to get back to Van Dam Street. Because if you didn't, it's already chaos over there, but it'd be worse. I mean, it's a mess at this intersection. I think, whatever happens here is going to be better than what we have. I mean, 80 cars backed up or whatever it was is insane. That's like a half a mile. And the the exhaust from the idling cars and the backup and everything else, it's just not workable. Plus, businesses have to use that exit as well, and so people that are getting off that exit for work, it's backing them up in 6 minutes is optimistic, because I have sat on that exit for 15 minutes easily before, trying to get to events and stuff. So.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I wasn't exaggerating. It's 5 to 6 minutes at least.
At least, yes, at least. And can you, Rhonda, if you're on, so this is the third, I think this is the fourth presentation now that we've seen. I just want the committee and the participants to understand that, we've asked DOT to go back to the drawing board 3 times. This is the 4th iteration. But I'd like maybe specifically, Simon had asked earlier for the committee to have the older versions, but I don't want to get into that and confuse people. But if you could maybe in a nutshell just talk about some of the concerns that we had brought to you as the board and how you incorporated them into this new plan.
Well, the older version, there would be 3 lanes total. We would take away parking on the west side of Williamsburg Street West, both approaching Wythe Avenue and also between Wythe and Kent, so that there would be a total of 3 lanes. And the BQE ramp would flare out to 2 lanes for about 5 or 6 car lengths before you get to Wythe. And the traffic from Williamsburg Street West would pretty much be on the curbside lane. And to do that, we would have to, first of all, we'd have to ban the southbound right turn, because trucks wouldn't be able to do it. It would be too sharp of a right turn to make from the curb. And also we would have to find a spot for those buses, those school buses that currently park on the west side of Williamsburg Street West between Wythe and Kent. We'd have to find a place they'd have to move to make that a travel lane. So the old way would work. It would work better, but it would be more imposing. So that's why it's scaled back a little bit.
Okay, because I know that was a big concern in the community there about the buses, specifically. A lot of the problems of the BQE2 on that exit is people getting blocked up, trying to make the left turn, and blocking the box. So then, you're backed up, and then you can't travel forward because on the other side of Wythe, on the west side, I think south side, I don't know, what would that be? East side, west side of Wythe, it's, there's nowhere to go. you know. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Um,
So this would help that problem. Yes.
right. Okay.
But again, it would make an almost as bad problem on Kent, which is why we may need the signal.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. I see you, Rabbi, but Simon is next. We're going to do committee first, and then I'll recognize you. Okay, Rabbi? Okay, thank you. Simon, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make something very clear. This plan was I would say initiated years ago by Pearlstein and myself. We had the commissioner make the walkthrough, and we had asked for a split light. Okay, so the plan is a great plan, but we have a very big pushback from the local community not allowing from Williamsburg Street West to make that left turn. There are very many school buses and cars that make that left turn, and you see there's quite a large number of cars making that left, and there are schools there having to go another block and making the left on Kent Avenue will create a chaos. I mean, you understand the whole issue of this traffic backing up only because Kent Avenue was turned into a one-way years ago. Therefore, all the traffic coming from Greenpoint, they don't travel via White Avenue because they're using the highway. So when we do such a plan, we have to look at the bigger picture. I could see a chaos coming out of all the traffic going down Williamsburg Street West, making the left on Kent Avenue, and then making another left onto Williamsburg Street East. This is not the plan that board members and members of the community had asked. And I did speak to some members. They said maybe they would agree not allowing traffic coming off the highway to make a right turn. That would work, but not allowing traffic coming down William Street West to make a left turn. That's something that's not won't work, and it will create a chaos
Yes.
the whole area.
The thing is, how can we, if we banned the right turn, how can we ban the right turn from the ramp without banning the left from the service road? The only way to do it is to put a divider there, unless you put a policeman there. If you put a cop there 24 hours a day, otherwise, how can you prevent one and not both?
Well, you could put I'm not a transportation expert. I mean, you could put a light which has a arrow going straight, and you have a sign, no right turn. Again, the previous plan you mentioned before, the previous plan had an idea of making two lanes coming out of the highway. I mean, that would be a great plan. Let the flow come out of the highway 2 lanes, okay? And we'll remove the parking from the right lane on Williamsburg Street West. No problem with that. And then a split light should work. I mean, that's what we asked for. That's what that's what we want.
A split light will not work. It'll make it worse, because then you have to give, right now it's green for both of them at the same time. If they had to take turns, they'd get roughly half the time they get now each.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have the data of how many cars are coming down White Avenue going straight, passing this intersection? Do we have
Hold on.
that data also?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. 573 during the roughly 500 to 600. About 500.
Where's over here?
The upper left box is the weekday morning rush, and the lower left box is the evening rush. And the red there, that the through arrow on the red, that's how many go through from Williamsburg Street West, not from the ramp, just from Williamsburg Street West.
Hold on, I'm not talking about that. I'm asking how many cars are coming down White Avenue, past Winnick Street West.
Oh, I don't have that in this present. I have that, just not in this presentation.
Right. So my issue is, so they don't mind waiting. People coming down White Avenue will wait a bit longer, and the split light would
Yeah,
work.
but we can't take any time from Wythe either, because sometimes they don't always get through. They don't always get through.
Well, this plan would work. This other way, not making a left turn, is. I mean, again, I'm just saying, they're raising the concerns of us board members which live nearby, local schools, local. They all raise this concern.
Well, I'm just asking you again today, if it's green for Wythe, and then it's green for southbound, which is the service road and the ramp combined. They go together. If we take away any time from Wythe, that's going to back up, because even today, sometimes they don't always get through. So if we steal time from Wythe, that's going to back that up. And I'm just asking you to imagine if the service road and BQE ramp, if they didn't go together, if they were split, they would each get half the amount of time they get today.
I mean, it works on the other side by Flushing and Classen.
At Flushing and Classen, 2 lanes go at a time. 2 lanes go from the ramp when it's green for the ramp, and 2 lanes go from Classen when it's green for Classen.
Yeah, but you had
Here they're only fed by 1 lane each, and there's no room to expand.
But your previous plan had a plan to make 2 lanes out of the highway to be a total of 3 lanes. Now you're backing off, but originally the plan was to make 2 lanes coming out of the highway and 1 lane Winnick Street West. So I go back to that plan and the split light.
But sir, even if we did that and we split the light, remember the BQE ramp can be 2 lanes only for about 5 or 6 car lengths. So when the light turns green, for the first 10 or 12 seconds, the cars would go 2 at a time. But after that, they only go through 1 at a time, because the ramp itself is only 1 lane. We could flare it out to 2 lanes for 5 or 6 car lengths, but no more than that. It would work if the BQE ramp could be 2 lanes for its entire length. And if we then it would work. And if at the approach it was 40 feet wide instead of 30 feet wide, that would work.
Can you go back to the slide, the early slide that shows the top view of the exit? Just so we can kind of see. You had it. It was.
This one?
No.
A photo or a diagram?
That's a photo.
This one?
No, I'm sorry. One more back. It was that top-down view with the boxes. With you could see the white car cutting off the.
That was this one. This one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go up. I think it's slide number 3.
Slide number 3.
I think. There we go. Okay. So no, you had it. All right. So, is it possible to widen? So where that paint is, I forget what it's called. The hash.
The gore area. The gore area.
Yes. If that is so, is that there for emergency vehicles, or can that be expanded to become 2 lanes of an exit off of the BQE, and then factored and filtered down into?
But it could only be about. It could go up to about where it would be very tight, and it could only go up about as far. You could see for yourself. can you see my pointer about here?
Yes.
From here down. From here to here, it could be 2 lanes. And then there'd still only be 1 lane for Williamsburg Street West. So we could have 2 lanes from the ramp from here on down, 1 lane from here. We'd have to remove some parking to put that there, and we'd have to remove all this bus parking. And again, there would only be 3 lanes total, 2 for the ramp, and the ramp, it's only like, okay, I said 6 or 7 car lengths. It's more like 8 or 9 car lengths. Roughly from here to here, it could be 2 lanes. And that's
would-
very, very tight, very tight.
That plan would work. That plan would work.
But again, if it's 2 lanes from here to here, once this light turns green and it's green for the ramp, once these cars clear, yeah, they're going 2 at a time. But after that, they're only going 1 at a time. If it could be 2 lanes all the way back beyond this aerial, yeah, but it can only be 2 lanes up to here.
Well, I guess what I'm
Again,
saying
that
is,
is
we can't,
that's
okay, so if you go,
extremely tight.
Greg,
Yes, sir.
if you go to the northernmost part of that yellow triangle,
Yeah.
so the paint on either side is just paint, right? Could it not be widened all the way to the northern portion of that triangle to make it 2 lanes?
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to see here, but it would be enough room for like 1 3/4 car widths. And if a truck's there, forget about it.
Right. Well, that's too bad. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
And again, there's an elevation difference between here and here. We can't expand this way. This is higher up than here.
Mhm.
So even going to here, then on either side of the cars, you got a railing and just barely enough room.
Okay. All right. Simon, anything else?
Oh, well, for now, I'll just give their comments.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee members? Committee members first, please.
Yes,
Who is this?
Mr.
Joel?
Gross. Yes.
Go ahead, Joel.
I would like you to take into consideration a couple issues in the area. This exit, first of all, we have an entrance going to the highway from the other side of Williamsburg Street. If a lot of trucks will have to make a left, it's going to be jam-packed at that exit. It's number one. Number two is we have our multiple schools around White and Williamsburg Street. And we have a lot of buses making usually a left. If we will have to continue going straight, number one, the street between Kent and Flushing on Williamsburg Street is always a traffic backed up going through the Big Wheel. So the tire from Bedford Avenue probably will be backed up if no turn is gonna be on a left hand on the White Avenue. We will have a backup in traffic from Bedford till the exit, the entrance to the Big Wheel. Then a lot of cars will have to go around, make a left on Kent Avenue. Then you have to have another entrance to the highway. So that's issue. If you're gonna do it like that, split it with no turns, that issue will create other multiple blocks gonna be jam-packed with cars. This is one issue. I would like to ask what is the time frame we create the study about how many cars makes a right and a left?
This
If you
was
have the
collected
date from
we collected the data in November 2019.
You have the specific date because in November maybe it's a holiday. I would like to see
No,
if everything was
it was,
operational.
I can get that to you. I don't have it right here, but I can get that to you. It was not during, it was well before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Greg, if you could get that, we'll submit it for the record.
Will do.
Thank you. Anything else, Joel?
Yes, if we can have the White Avenue, Williamsburg Street on the right side, let's make a tail lane right only, but the right side. That's gonna take away the traffic from. That's gonna take away a little bit traffic. Always with the right side, tail side. So like it's gonna missing like 3-4 parkings. So they can always make a right, and left the Williamsburg. The straight to Williamsburg should be a left, and with and straight.
Um,
That's
Well,
gonna move a lot of traffic.
the problem with that is, if you can see where my cursor is, making a right here is very difficult from the curb lane. If you make it from here, you can make this, see how this is an acute angle? Making this right turn from the curb lane, you'd end up crossing the double yellow line.
Is White Avenue is very wide street, more from every other street. I every single day multiple buses and trucks making their white turn with no issues.
But they don't turn from the curb lane. They don't turn from here. They turn more from the middle. If we're saying that you can only turn right from this curbside lane here, that would be difficult, especially for a bus.
Okay.
Joel, you good?
So, and we have to also take into consideration the traffic, what's gonna happen. People will have to drive an extra couple blocks, go up from Kent Avenue, make a left on Williamsburg Street, all the way to Bedford Avenue. So all the blocks around will suffer from that change.
It's true that if today you turn left from Williamsburg Street west, if you turn left onto Wythe, yes, you would have to go a block further down and then possibly a block up, depending on where your ultimate destination is. But yes, we understand that's a disadvantage. Some drivers will have to drive out of their way to do that.
So is the entrance?
We acknowledge that.
also-
We acknowledge that.
We have an entrance to the highway, the other side to Williamsburg Street.
Yes, right.
We're gonna start to be backed up. Because a
Talking
lot of
about right
people,
here, or you talking about up here for Queens bound,
Yes.
or down here to
Yes.
Staten Island bound? Up here, you mean?
bound. If people will go around, it's gonna be more traffic at the other side to Williamsburg Street because a lot of people wanna take the highway. A lot of people will probably take Williamsburg or U Street, but traffic that
It wouldn't really be more traffic. They just have to go out of their way. They have to go down an extra block to Kent.
that intersection a block before is always jam packed because don't forget we have a lot of people when they coming from the Prosper Park area from the Major Deegan, they're taking Flushing exit. They're gonna go down Classen Avenue and they're gonna take that way to go up just Williamsburg Street. If we can
Yes,
add in
it's
multiple cars, the Classen Avenue, the Flushing Avenue, that particular area will be jam packed.
It's true. It will clog. It's true. It will clog up Kent Avenue, and it will unclog Wythe Avenue.
So we have to make the right balance to make sure it's not affecting the surrounding, not affecting the schools, not affecting the exit and the entrance from the highways. The way just split it with no turn, that's gonna hurt other 10 blocks around and around. Question is, we're gonna gain so much positive, or we're gonna have that's gonna have a lot of negative impact to other blocks around.
It will be a negative impact to Kent, yes, but the upside is it will improve operations at Wythe, and it'll the queue extending back onto the BQE will be greatly reduced. So we're not saying it's going to be without any disadvantages. Certainly there's disadvantages, but we feel the advantages outweigh the disadvantages.
So the problem is when we remove the one line between Flushing and the highway, when we from White to Flushing, when we remove one line, we put it from a bike lane, we always have a traffic from Flushing to White. And if every car or truck will have to go straight, it's gonna be just jammed the block. It's gonna be affected. Williamsburg Street, Kent Avenue, White Avenue, everything will be Grand Lock all the way till Bedford Avenue on Williamsburg Street. So we lose one lane because the bike lane on Williamsburg Street between White and Flushing. That street is always jammed. If we're gonna send multiple vehicles just go straight, it's gonna not help. It's gonna hurt the entire area around.
Okay, I'm not sure which bike lane you're talking about.
We have a bike lane on Williamsburg Street between White and Kent, between Kent and Flushing. Flushing. And
But we wouldn't be that beyond Kent shouldn't be affected at all.
Yeah, a lot of times
It's just between White and Kent.
A lot of times we have a backup traffic between White and Kent because the traffic from Kent to Flushing. We have a backup traffic a lot of times.
I understand that. Yes, it's true that because of the on-ramp from Williamsburg Street west onto the Staten Island bound BQE on the other side of Flushing Avenue, because of that, backups are caught. That causes backups. I get that. We get that. But this plan, it will send more cars on Williamsburg Street West between Wythe and Kent, but not beyond Kent.
So, I would like to ask, we was done a study between White and Kent and between Kent and Flushing to see the traffic over there. I think before any changes, we have to create a study from White to Kent and from Kent to Flushing.
Well, just again,
And also a study by the other side of Williamsburg Street, by the entrance to the highway from Classen to White. I think we should create a study. That study will give for the entire board, for the committee, a entire picture from the area, and then we'll have to figure out what is the best way to move on.
Well, by the time that's done, it'll be 2030. Joel, so I don't think, we have, I hear your concerns, and I see what you're saying about like what's, because I know that, that intersection as well, getting onto the Queensbound ramp. But we have to deal with this issue I'm sensitive to the surrounding areas. I don't want to, cause a problem one place that's going to, create problems in 50 other places, but I think there will be some inconvenience, all around. But that's living in the city, right? So, and the situation currently is just not working. So I hear you. And I just want to move this along a little bit. It's already 8 o'clock. Any other committee members having it? I have some, I see
I would
notes.
like to have one more suggestion. If, first of all, we should try to expedite with the DOT to make a survey, or the committee should go down, at least walk down, be on the streets between White and Kent and Flushing, the same thing by Classen, by Flushing, the other side of the highway, just to review it, the committee between us, or board members, to have their own survey and see the fact.
Okay, we're not going to decide that tonight, but it is noted. I really need to move this along. So anybody else on the committee that has a question? Committee questions first, please. Karen, I see you have a couple of questions. Can you just actually vocalize them? I think it'd be more useful.
Sure. I was trying to be respectful. First, was a study done on the times of vehicles that would have to turn on Kent and come up and around? I mean, so my question is, number one, yes, it was requested because there was safety concerns and also because of the traffic backups that was happening in the confusion of this intersection. However, if it's, what are the traffic, I'm sorry, what are the crashes, the stats, and are we going to make matters worse by putting all the traffic onto Kent? Because Kent right now gets completely slammed and backed up. So if we're trying to save 6 minutes on the BQE, but we're adding the 6 minutes elsewhere, I mean, if it's not going to add 6 minutes at Kent, then I could see, because if it's for safety, if cars are getting into accidents at this intersection, then I would say we should move forward. If not, then, you know, I think it's just going to completely back up from Kent anyway.
We can provide you with the crash data, the most recent crash data we have.
Okay, and what about the times? Did anyone do like a wraparound to see what currently? I mean, obviously, if we're adding 200 more vehicles at that intersection, it's going to be longer, but do we have the time frame of what the wraparound would be?
Well, again, we're talking about the vehicles from Williamsburg Street West that turn left on the Wythe today. Now they got to go block out of the way. Their extra time, again, I have that, just not on me. I can send you that too.
That would be helpful.
Anything else, Karen?
No, I'm just saying, if it clears the, you know, coming off of the ramp, and if it clears Williamsburg Street West at that, you know, direct intersection by Wythe, if we're saving time there, then I don't see what the problem would be at turning at Kent.
One thing I can tell you is, if you're going southbound on Williamsburg Street West and you're turning left on Wythe, then left again to get onto the highway towards Queens, there's about, out of that 200 some, there's only about 30 or 40 that do that. But if you turn left on Wythe and go straight on Wythe, you may just turn left on Kent and go straight on Kent too, and it wouldn't be that much extra time at all. So it depends on the destination. For some drivers, again, if you're getting on the Queens-bound BQE, yes, they have to go a block down, and they have to go essentially 2 blocks out of the way. A block down to Kent and then turn left and come up from Kent.
Right.
So for them, I'll provide you with the extra travel time. But then for the drivers that continue straight on Wythe, if they're going to just go straight on Kent, there could be very little extra travel time.
Okay, we'll look for those counts. We'll add it to the record. How can you get that to us tomorrow? Our board meeting is on Wednesday.
We'll get that, if not, tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, the latest.
Great, thanks, Greg.
And I'm sorry, just one other thing. Because of the concern about the school buses, where Do we know how many school buses are making that turn currently, and where is the school located that they're going to? Because that is a concern. Delays for the school.
There's a school where this yellow box is. So yes, they would be, if they're coming down here and making this move like this, yes, they would be inconvenienced.
But how many buses make the left? Do we know?
We're not sure about, we just know vehicles. We're not sure about whether it's buses or
So let me,
trucks.
I have
We
the
don't know
numbers. I have
we
the
have-
numbers. You're talking per day or the morning and afternoon?
What would it be for the peak hour, for the morning hours, by hour?
The morning hour is going to be between 75 and 100 buses.
Making the left, Joel?
Yeah. I'm talking from 7:30 to 10.
Rush hour.
Because by white corn, you have a lot of schools in the area. You have multiple schools and multiple buses picking up 3-4 different shifts of kids. That's why a lot of times they're gonna make a left turn or a right turn 7:30, 8, 9, 9:30, 10.
Okay. I just wanted to make note of that.
Okay, any other committee members with a question or comment? Committee members.
Me, Ryan.
Okay, Ryan, go.
I live on Metropolitan Wife. I bike to my dance studio in Crown Heights daily down this route. I'm really familiar with this intersection. I take cars when it's raining, and I just want to say that, like, I understand that some people are going to have to find routes for buses and all these things, but it's a dangerous shortcut. Car drivers know that if you are running late and you need to get around fast, you come down Williamsburg and you cut that intersection. And I see every time I go through there near misses. It's a very dangerous, and I think that it's our duty to put safety above a one block detour convenience, having to remap buses. I understand that it will create labor, but labor, this people's actual safety, to me is it's a non-starter. And I get that you wanted different selections, and when the experts looked at it, it can't be done. But as a biker, I'm often asked to go 5, 10, 15 blocks out of my way to be safer. That's regularly asked of me. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But I'm just saying, is it that outside the box to ask a driver to go one way, a detour, to make a known dangerous spot where people cut the corner on purpose to save time in that, so that we have safety? And I just think that we all know, and we all have seen people making that corner, and we've seen many here near misses. And I just don't want any family in this neighborhood or here to have a loss because we didn't want people to have to redo their bus routes. Because it's really going over to Callier or Calmer, coming down. It's not huge. But anyways, I know it's a change, and we all don't like change, but I think safety is vital. That's all.
William, I see your comment. It's kind of endorsing what Joel had said already. So if it's okay to just take that comment for the record.
Yes,
Okay. And you're the committee, so I'm respecting that first. Thank you. Last call for committee members with comments.
Eric, there's a comment from Thomas I don't think was responded to. There enough room at the intersection for a pedestrian island between the exit ramp?
Okay. Committee first. Well.
Oh, sorry, just relaying it.
I saw it. Committee first.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anything, Will? No. Yes.
I mean, I think congestion is a major issue, not just locally, but for the city as a region, and I don't know. I get that there's no real easy solution to this, but I think trying to relieve the backup on the DQE is, I don't know. We have to keep that in mind. So.
Okay. All right. Rabbi, you've been waiting patiently. Please go ahead. Rabbi Peterman?
Mute.
There.
That's on mute.
He has to unmute himself.
Okay, yeah.
There
Can
he
you hear
is.
me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, we heard before comments about the issue of safety is first, and if a driver has to spend more time or less time, that does not take precedent on safety. I wanted to say is, as we have spoken on the Collier Street as well, on the issue of speaking to the stakeholders, okay? And the stakeholders, I'm talking the schools. The school there on White Avenue and 10th Street with small children, and it's most probably, I don't want to say the number, I think it's 1,200 or 1,500 kids. Just a block down, there's another school. There is at the corner of White and Williamsburg Street West. There's a school, and it's also a Head Start program and small children. So it's not only stakeholders of business, this is stakeholders whose business is children and the safety of children. So before we move anything on this one, we ought to make sure that we get their input. They're transporting, not only the issue is the number of buses, but the number of children and the safety of thousands of children through these trips. So I feel it's crucial to set up something with the schools and the stakeholders in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Okay. Board members. Any board members have a comment? None. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Will. What was that? I saw it, but now I can't find it.
It was, is there enough room at the intersection for a pedestrian island between the exit ramp and Williamsburg Street West to reduce the crossing distance?
Is there enough room? You mean where the red box is here, an island, to put an island here?
That's how I interpret the question.
No,
Yes.
because then if we put an island here, then again, this would run into the parked buses, or they'd have to swerve around, and plus you couldn't turn right here. So the answer to that is no. There's not enough room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments on this item? Okay. Hearing none, we need to vote on this.
All right, so I would like to make a motion.
Okay, Simon makes a motion.
To deny the plan, based only if they would consider a split light. Split light that would enhance, that would cover the issue, the safety issue, and it would cover the issue of the left turn from the Williamsburg Street West. Again, I mentioned before, I don't have a problem come to traffic and making a right turn, but the main thing is traffic coming from west should be able to make a left turn. That's my motion. Okay, basically only to approve this plan if it's a split light.
Okay, can I just say something about the split light?
One second. We're in a not Robert's rules to recognize you, sorry. So hang on. So I have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Second from the committee?
Excellent.
Goldstein. Yeah. Second.
Who is that, please?
Joe Goldstein.
Okay. All right, let me just rephrase the motion because it was a little muddled. Typing it, hold on. Okay, Simon, you'll tell me if this is what you meant. Motion to deny unless a split signal before the intersection is incorporated and continue to allow left turn onto Wythe.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion and second. I guess we'll have to do roll call because it's a little nutty. So let's see. Committee only. Bear with me. Okay, I'm just going to call your names, if that's all right. It's not in any particular order. Ryan?
No.
Karen? Karen Nieves? Did we lose her?
So what is yes or what is no? Make clear the motion. Make clear the motion.
Wait, is Karen there or not?
Sorry.
Okay, so the motion is to deny the latest plan unless a split signal before the intersection is incorporated and a left turn is allowed onto Wythe. That is the motion. Is that understood?
Yes, and I abstain.
Abstain. Thank you. Simon? Simon?
Yes.
You're voting. That's a yes?
So yeah.
Say yes or no or abstain when I call your name, please.
When you say yes, you mean you vote for the motion.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay. Willis?
No to the motion.
Thank you. Joel Goldstein?
Yes.
William Klagsbald?
Yes.
James Stewart?
Yes.
Any other committee members I have not called?
Mr. Gross.
I don't think Joel is on the committee anymore. Marie, can you verify that?
Hi, this is Kevin. Can I vote?
You're a non-voting member, Kev.
Are you talking about Joel Gross?
Yes.
I don't see his name on the list.
Yes. Sorry, Joel, you're off the committee, but thanks for coming.
Okay.
Your comments are noted, though. And just to clarify again, I'm sorry with this non-voting. Kevin Costa is not a board member and therefore cannot vote. Is that correct, Marie? On the motion?
As a committee member, he can vote, but it has to be recorded separately.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Kevin, go ahead.
No.
Thank you. Okay. All right. And I vote no. So that is 1, 2, 3. Four yes. Four no. Well, 3 no from the board members. 1 abstention. And 1 no non-board member. And the motion fails.
Why is that?
Because an abstention is a no in terms of the count. So there are 4 yes, 3 no from the committee, 1 no non-board member, and 1 abstention.
As member, can different members who are right now on the meeting vote?
Only committee members can vote. Okay, so the motion fails. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Ryan makes a motion. Any caveats?
No.
Okay. Approve as is. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Willis, second. Thank you. Okay. May I have the vote, please? Ryan,
Yes.
Karen,
Abstention.
Kevin, Simon,
No, no.
Willis,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein,
Oh.
William Klagsbald,
No.
James Stewart,
No.
and I vote yes. So we have the same result. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4 yes. Wait,
No.
sorry, 1 second. Yes. Yes. 3, 4.
We're at the same thing.
Yes.
Jeez.
Would anyone like to change their vote on either item?
Well, I
can't do. That's not Robert's rules. I take that back. Sorry. Oops. Let's not do that. Okay, so we have a stalemate.
Do we take this stalemate to the full board and just do the same thing?
Yeah, I guess. Marie, guidance.
I mean, versus like, I feel like us hammering out, we're all pretty set. Karen wants more information. Like, I feel
Basically,
like
yes.
I mean, Karen, I will definitely take you down to that intersection for a guided tour. I'm sure Simon would too. The 3 of us could meet. Lols.
Okay.
But
I mean,
All right.
I feel that we don't understand that the magnitude, what traffic this is going to create for the whole area around and around.
Eric,
Yes.
this should go back to DOT. This should go back to them to come up with some answers. We can't take it to the full board. They have to address this.
but I mean, I think that they would.
Well, okay, so we have yeah, we have so I'm going to take it to the board next week. We'll have a up and down vote on it next week, and
Then go back to DOT.
Greg, get ready to sharpen your pencils and count your cars. So that's all we can do on that. Thank you for the discussion.
I mean, can
Rabbi, you
we,
wanna say
can we
something?
table it? Can we table it until next month? And have them get back to us?
That's a better idea. Table it till next month.
Fine with that. So, yeah, we could table it to July.
Because I think this is really important that we do vote on this, and I am concerned about the safety aspect, and that was the main reason why we asked DOT to study this. So I just want to be clear on that, but at the same time, I have concerns, and if they could address those concerns.
Can we have a written document where we ask them the questions that we expect them to come back with? Because what I hate is when, when we come and then we think of something new. Like, I want us to give DOT the list of questions that we have. And like, people that aren't familiar with the intersection, I have a standing offer to like walk or bike down over there. And again, and I would always, me and Simon talked on the phone yesterday. I would call Simon and have him come down too. But I definitely think people should go and see this intersection if you don't go through it on the daily. It's an important safety issue, but.
Agreed.
All right, so I think the best way to do that is to submit, I have you, Rabbi. Hang on 1 second. Submit an email with your specific concerns, as specific as possible, to the group office and my attention. That way it can be forwarded to Rhonda, and she can send it out to the appropriate team, Greg, essentially at DOT. And then we can come back in July and hash this all out again, hopefully in a short conversation.
What's the deadline on questions to you?
I'm sorry?
What's the deadline on getting questions to you?
Right up until well.
I mean, we have to give DOT a week to answer, 2 weeks to answer. What's the?
Good point.
All right, so I haven't set the July meeting yet. So let's say, get all your concerns into me by, let's say Monday. Let's say Monday. And then that'll give DOT 3.5 weeks to figure it out and come back.
Eric?
Yes?
Need to look at that intersection.
I'm sorry?
They need to look at that intersection. It's going to take the traffic another block.
Who needs to look at it?
DOT.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Yes.
What I was asking Marie is that the DOT plan, as stated, is definitely going to affect the following intersection, which is Kent, Williamsburg East, and Flushing, which in itself is problematic.
Yes.
So, in the event the committee decides to go with the plan so stated by DOT, I think they need to comment on how the traffic will be affected at that intersection. We can't handle it part and parcel. We have to handle it as a package. So how does what they're proposing tonight affect that next intersection, since they're basically telling motorists you can't make that left turn until you get to the next intersection, which is problematic in itself.
Yes, I think that's been made clear in the comments by Joel Gross, who's concerned about the left turn at
No, I don't
Kent.
think it's clear. I don't think he commented or gave counts or anything for that next intersection.
No. I'm saying right now what we're saying is the committee will submit concerns for DOT to address before the next transportation committee meeting. And in this meeting tonight, we heard a lot of what you're talking about from Joel Gross, from Karen, and from Simon and Rabbi. So those comments need to be formalized and sent so that DOT can address exactly that concern. Because Jerry, I have the same concern at Kent. I think that you do and that the others do. Those are two bad intersections already. We don't want to make Kent worse to make Wise a little,
Exactly.
you know, so,
And to be, I mean, I'm very much familiar with that because a lot of people, believe it or not, get on the expressway just to get off over there because they avoid the Tillery Street backup. And they'll either make the right on Flushing and go alongside the Navy Yard, or they'll just go alongside underneath the expressway to get downtown Brooklyn. And to be quite frank, I find the Classen Street split light to be very effective.
right, but we've already heard that the Classen Street is not analogous because of the number of lanes, which is the issue.
Close enough.
Well, a lane is a big deal when you're doing traffic
Well,
engineering.
maybe they should speak to state DOT about extending the lane onto the BQE if that's what it takes to make the solution happen. Maybe you should bring state DOT into the loop, and if it's possible to eat away at some of the vegetation and put another lane in, it's up to the state DOT to determine.
Greg, has there been any conversation with state DOT on this project?
Yes, but going into the vegetation, that is not an easy process. Taking away trees is not.
I don't think there's any trees there. I think it's a graded grass area.
Going into that is, first of all, it's very expensive, and there's many rules that prohibit us from doing that. And state DOT, there's a lot of rules against that.
Can you, just for the record, Greg, can you maybe pull those sections out of the code and just send those as well?
Yes.
That'd be helpful, and thank you. Okay, so we've been talking about this for almost an hour and a half. Rabbi, yes.
One second.
I'm sorry. Say that again. You're muted, Rabbi. Unmute. There you go.
I'm extremely disappointed, and I want to say that for the record. We were talking before about Collier Street, and everybody understood, and rightfully so, that they want to know how that is going to affect that one, whatever it's called, Tomatoes or whatever that name of that company is, which I respect, that's the appropriate thing to do. Here we are voting on, ready to vote on something, and directing DOT to implement that when they didn't speak yet to the stakeholders. And the stakeholders are lives as school children. How is that? How do we as a board take the responsibility on ourselves? And what I'm saying is that it's inappropriate to move forward until we have DOT actually meet with the stakeholders, as I say, the schools, and there's businesses, there's major housing development on there. And until that is not addressed, they cannot move to come up with a plan. And
Well, Rabbi, I understand your point. It's a good point. But it's two different issues. So at Collier, the concern.
Collier or not,
Rabbi,
safety of children.
Hear me out. So the concern at Collier was a specific turn radius and a loading zone and things very specific to that small plan. Yes? Here, there are a lot more impacts, as you say, rightly, the schools, the traffic, the residents. It's a larger bowl, let's say.
And therefore,
I think that it would be a good idea for DOT to speak to the schools. That should be part of our ask for them to come back to us in the July meeting. Have you spoken to the schools? Rabbi, if you could be helpful in putting them in touch with like the right people, and if they don't speak to the schools, then we can address that issue at the July meeting. So I have your comment for the record. I appreciate it. But I just wanted to be clear on that.
Question.
Who is that?
I have a question. The stakeholders are the kids. What about the kids in the buses? Are we talking about just the school that's up on White? Or are we talking about every single school that drives through the intersection? Because there's the kids are in buses when they're going through the intersection. We're saying that they want to make this turn where we have cars coming off the freeway going straight. Again, aren't the kids that are putting at risk the ones that are in the buses making at an unsafe intersection? I feel like it's conflating the issue to say that the kids that get out of the bus 2 blocks up are in danger because of whether cars can turn here. And I just think that that's to me, the kids at that school aren't in danger.
Okay. Let me just say, yes, some kids come by bus, but many come by foot. And if you be there, you'll see that. Okay. And therefore, regardless, even if they come with a bus, it still behooves on DOT and the board to make sure that such consideration is taken, not only taken, input is taken from them before you make a change. And because it's a big change,
were pedestrians. 2 of the accidents were pedestrians. We're talking about making it safe for pedestrians.
Yes. For pedestrians and children and weekly traffic, that has to take place. And because it's a bigger plan, and because more people are affected with that, that's even more important.
But
I believe
that is the last word, Rabbi. Thank you very much. So again, please submit your comments to the board office, to my attention by Monday, and the business, if possible, be forwarded to the project managers and the borough commissioner to address at the July meeting to be determined. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is Rodney and Broadway. Is that right?
Yes. Is Cole here?
Oh, Greg, it's the Greg show.
Well, Cole is supposed to. Cole had technical difficulties, but
let's see.
I can show this if Cole's not here. He did text me that he couldn't get onto this for some reason. All right, just give me a second here and let me see if I can find this.
And just to the people that, if you typed in a text and I missed it or we didn't get to it, I apologize. We'll make it part of the record.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Rabbi, can you mute?
Yes, I'll mute.
Thank you.
Okay, is everybody ready for
Yes, sir.
Broadway and Rodney? This is Broadway here. This is the BQE. This is South 9th Street, and this is Rodney Avenue. Rodney Street, sorry. There was a request for pedestrian safety improvements here, and there's widespread jaywalking, which I'll show you in a second. Again, here is the area: Broadway, Marcy, Rodney Street, and South 9th Street. Okay, now the problem is South 9th Street comes in, it's a one-way to our right, which is one-way eastbound. Comes in like this. And Rodney Street is one way up, is the way we're looking at it. So cars are allowed to make this turn here onto Broadway. So there's no crosswalk across Rodney Street. If you're walking along the south side of Broadway, most people just walk like this, which means they're jaywalking because there's no crosswalk there. Nobody's going to do this, but to avoid jaywalking, that's what they would have to do. So that's the problem we're trying to alleviate. So this is a photo looking west. This is South 9th Street. This is Broadway. This is Rodney. Again, there's no crosswalk here. And vehicles from South 9th Street come in like this, and they would take up the path by pedestrians anyway. This is Broadway and South 9th Street looking east. This is where South 9th Street kind of slants into Broadway. This is looking in the opposite direction. This is looking west. This is South 9th Street. This is Broadway. Again, there's no crosswalk here. So the proposal is to close to traffic this eastern end of South 9th Street to make it a pedestrian plaza. Let me just back up a second here. Let me see if I have a picture of the, no, I don't. Okay. So these are kind of like backyards here. If we're talking about closing this to traffic so that that way, if you're coming up Rodney Street, you can turn left here, you can go straight, you can turn right, you just will not be able to do this. We would also, with paint and delineators, make a wraparound curb extension like this to shorten the crossing distance here. And again, this would be a brand new crosswalk, and pedestrians could walk across here without having to look over their shoulder and make sure there's no cars coming here. And to further make this intersection bearable, we would propose to reverse the directionality of South 9th Street from eastbound to westbound. Okay, the way it is today, again, this is South 9th Street. It's one-way eastbound, and this is the section we would close off to vehicles. And so that this isn't essentially a five-legged intersection, we would propose to reverse it. The way it is today, where the one-way is this way, it's easy to get to from the north, because Marcy Avenue is one-way southbound. And then, so if you're coming here, it's easy to go to the north or to the west or to the east. If it was reversed, then it would be easy to get to from the south, and you could go from the south to the west to the east. And probably most people that use this are looking for parking anyway. So reversing this from eastbound to westbound isn't going to make any big traffic problems. Most people that use it are probably looking for parking. And again, the way it is today, it's kind of illogical to use it unless you're reversing yourself. And if we make it one way this way, again, it would still be illogical unless you're reversing yourself. It's just that it would be in a different direction. So again, the advantage is safer pedestrian crossing across Rodney Street. The neck downs make 3 crosswalks shorter. And the closed off section of South 9th Street could be devoted to pedestrians. There is a disadvantage. If we closed off that section of South 9th Street, we would lose 5 to 6 parking spaces. But there would be 1 or 2 spaces gained on Broadway itself. There'd be 1 or 2 spaces gained here, but actually I think it's 5 or 6 net spaces lost. There'd be a loss of spaces here, a few spaces gained for a net loss of 5 to 6 spaces. And that's pretty much it.
Do we have a count how many people make the right turn coming down Rodney? Make a right turn?
Let me see if I can get to that. Hold on. It's very little, very little. Column number 4 here. These are 15-minute counts. It's the number of vehicles that go up Broadway and then turn into South 9th Street here. That's number 4, which is, just so we look at all time periods, the most in any 15-minute period looks like 4.
But I want to make clear, I'm talking about,
and these are very old, by the way. Oh no, these are 2020.
I want to make clear my question. The traffic coming down Rodney, making a right onto Broadway. That's my question.
That's
Coming down
number
Rodney.
3. Okay, so if you could make a right here, or you can make a right here. Column 3 is making the right directly onto Broadway. Column 4 is taking this kind of shortcut. And again, they're both very low. These are, you can see these are 15-minute counts. So not too many people would do this. If you're going to do this, you might as well do this. But today, everybody, if we close this, then 3 and 4 combined would end up doing 3. So, and again, we're looking at column 3 and 4. These are 15-minute counts. Very, very low.
Right, okay.
So is that right? South 9th dead ends at Marcy, and it just goes Marcy to Broadway? Just those
Correct.
3?
That's right.
Sounds like a good open street.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. But I mean, it looks like it's just,
Yeah, it only goes from
it's
right
like car
here.
storage to me, especially over the BQE.
This is a pedestrian path. So
I'm not really proposing that. I'm just.
as far as vehicles go, it only goes from here. It goes from Marcy to Broadway. So yeah, if we close all of this, then we're really taking away a lot of parking space.
No, I'm just kidding. But you do have that park there, and there have been plans to cover the BQE, not all the way down there, but I don't know. I mean, it seems the direction change seems like you're almost getting the same result.
Yeah, in other words, instead of traffic coming into this and creating a 5-legged intersection, the traffic would come into here and just make a T intersection. And again, as far as traffic circulation, you can enter South 9th Street from the north, and under the proposal, you would enter it from the south. And again, anyone who uses it for traffic, they're just turning around either way. And I think most people that use South 9th Street, they're just looking for a parking spot.
Either that or they're shortcutting off of Marcy to get to Broadway instead of going up to the Marcy Broadway intersection.
Well, they could just do this. This is the way it is today. They could just do this. It's not really a shortcut. It would be out of their way a bit. If
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Marcy's 2-way. I'm sorry. You're right. Any questions, committee? Concerns?
Do you need a vote?
You do need a vote because there's a direction change, right, Greg?
Yes.
One question, as the same question comes up all the time. Are there any local business, local stakeholders?
Well, there is no businesses fronting here.
Oh, but there's a new building. I see there's a new building coming up on this intersection, between by Marcy and on Marcy between South 9 and Broadway. New building.
Right in here. Right in here.
Yeah, just by where it says Family Pharmacy. See that? They're building a new building there. So I think the request may have come from them. I'm not sure. But if so, fine. But I just want to know if maybe they have if they have a parking garage or they're planning on this or something.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you tell me exactly where it's in here somewhere? You say
No, it's where it says the picture of family pharmacy. You see the picture?
family?
Pharmacy?
Isn't it family?
See that?
Oh, right here. Oh,
Yes, yes, yes. So they're coming up a new building, and if they're okay with this plan, fine. I think years ago I heard they requested this turnaround one way, but I want to make sure that we're not going to affect any local businesses. You know what I mean?
okay. We'll reach out to them, and I think we already have.
Okay, so
I'm
have-
not. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. We may have. I'm not sure. But if we have not, we will.
Greg, I'm sorry if I missed it, but what generated this this change? Is there crash stats for this site?
There was a fatality, and also there's been complaints that it's people have been complaining that if they're walking along the south side of Broadway like this, let me get to a better photo here. If you're walking along the south side of Broadway, you have to kind of look over your shoulder to make sure that no cars are coming here. There's no crosswalk. So we got complaints that it's scary.
Okay.
It's scary just to walk along the south side of Broadway is the complaints we got.
So scary and a fatality, yes?
Yeah, it was a fatality. But that was up here though.
Okay. All right. Well, and I don't know, committee, anything? Anybody else besides Simon? No?
I want to make clarification for the record. I was just questioning the one way, the island that they want to close over here. The island, I understand it's a great enhancement, a very good enhancement. I was checking just the one way. If the new building coming up here, if you know about this one way change, that's basically. And usually when there's a change of one way, there's a business who requested this, or somebody put in the request. The question is who put in this request. That's all. I just want if we vote on it, you know.
Well, no, we came up with this because it's already very awkward. If we're going to put a crosswalk here, nobody requested the one way. They did request to do something about this, but the one way kind of follows that. If they can't go, if cars can't go this way, and they're forced to go here, then the only place they can go is right in the middle of the crosswalk. So this was requested. The one way wasn't really requested. It's like a follow-up to doing the request. The one way itself was not specifically requested, but to do what was requested, changing the directionality would help that.
Right. Got it.
Okay, so I guess I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Willis, motion to approve, second.
I second.
We got it.
Okay, and roll call. Ryan?
Die weet toch de zout van
Ryan is yes.
verkeerd.
Please don't speak while the vote is happening. Thank you. I lost my place. Sorry. Hang on.
Goed. Die weet dat we gewoon weer tussen die informatie verkeerd, right?
Simon Mitchison.
I'm going to call on him in a minute. Okay, sorry. It's like,
by the way, I just spoke to the stakeholder who requested this one way.
okay.
So he asked to make that reversal one way.
And who was that, sir? Who requested it?
Okay, we're in a vote. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Robert's rules. All right. Okay, sorry. Thank you for being patient. This is a crazy process. All right, Ryan says yes. Karen says, Karen? Yeah, but,
I said yes already.
okay,
Yes.
I couldn't hear you. Kevin? Kevin?
Absolutely. Hi, can you hear me? Yes.
Thank you. Simon?
Yes.
Thank you. Willis?
Yes.
Joel Goldstein?
Yes.
William Klagsbald?
Yes.
James Stewart? Still with us? James? James has left the building. And I say yes. Look at this.
On the list.
What? Is
I
he?
see him on the list.
James? I don't know why I'm yelling like he's in the other room. Going once, going twice. Well, he stepped out of the room, and just like any other thing, he doesn't get counted. All right, we all came together. That's unanimous. All right, thanks, Greg, for a long night.
Okay, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. Lastly, we have a discussion, which is going to be brief because it's 9 o'clock. And this has come up in other forums, but because it's open streets and it's transportation sensitive, we need to address it. So this is a discussion about the open streets program. Rhonda was kind enough to include.
Eric,
Yes.
since we're going to phase 2 most likely on Monday.
Yes, sir.
There's also the proposal to give up sidewalk parking spaces for outdoor eating, so that
Right.
should be a part of this.
Yes, I agree. Let me just bear with me 1 second. Okay, Miss Stephanie Shaw, I believe you are here representing DOT on open streets. Is that correct?
Yes, hello.
Okay. So we're going to have a discussion. People can chime in. I don't want this to be. Okay, so let me just start off with a lot of the problems that people have mentioned about open streets are actually DOT issue, NYPD issues, safety issues, rowdy bar patrons, bar owners not respecting the grab and go rule. Particularly at North 9th and Berry. Several of you sent me emails or communicated your concerns about it. My concern mostly is, and I brought this up in a meeting that we had a few weeks ago that Tom was on with Councilman Reynoso, was the notice. Now, I don't want the board to be voting on every open street. I don't think that's practical or useful. However, we do need to understand A, where the request is coming from, and B, are there more than one request? Is it one request? And then we need ample notice, not like 3 days before the street gets closed down, we find out that it's all of a sudden an open street. For all the reasons that we can understand. So Stephanie, if you could, before the folks chime in on their concerns, if you would just address those 3 points, how are requests received and processed?
Eric,
Yes?
is Stephanie going to present now?
Yes. Do you have a presentation specifically, Stephanie?
I have a few slides I could go through if you think that's helpful,
Okay,
but I
I'm
can
sorry.
also just answer questions. No,
Okay,
I mean, whatever works best for you guys. I know that it's late.
I didn't realize you had a presentation. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and roll through that, and then we'll come back to my concerns and the concerns of the committee and the public.
Okay, and hopefully the slides will answer some of those concerns as well. Sorry, bear with me for a second while I find the share your screen option. I don't see a screen sharing option popped up. I'm not sure if I've been made a presenter yet.
Marie, do you need to allow her permissions?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
You need to press the box with the arrow. Do you see that?
I don't have a box with an arrow. I don't think.
It's the third circle from the
Left.
Yeah, mine is grayed out.
So she's not a
It's okay. I
presenter.
mean,
Yeah, is she a presenter, Marie?
Yes, she is.
yeah, the box is grayed out, but you know, it's not
Okay.
it's not essential, and I can share the slides with you afterwards if you want to circulate them. So I can sort of just jump right into your concerns then.
Thanks.
If that's useful. So you wanted to know about how the requests are coming through. So there's a few different ways that we're receiving requests for locations. The main one is through a community request form we have online through the DOT website. And folks are using that, everyone from just, you know, your everyday resident or business owner to elected officials to suggest locations. So we're getting a lot of those locations suggested every day. We also are getting suggestions and offers to partner with us from neighborhood organizations, nonprofit groups, business improvement districts and alliances, as well as some of our existing partners we have for other DOT programs like Weekend Walk. So that's another major way things are coming in. Those are kind of the main suggestions that are coming through. And then occasionally we'll have, you know, somebody who works in city government who suggests a location, and then we vet that as well. But so once we get all those locations, DOT goes through them. My team, which is one of the planning units at DOT, we go through them. We send them to the relevant borough commissioners' offices. Those folks review them, sort of flag if they think that there's any potential issues, and then it goes to like a larger working group of folks at various operational city agencies to make sure that they don't see any operational challenges to that location. So that includes sanitation, the police department, the fire department, and a whole host of other folks working for the city. And assuming, you know, a suggestion makes it through all of those levels of review, it then gets in the queue to be discussed with elected officials and you folks to make sure everybody's sort of aware of the location. I know that those have been coming kind of close to when the implementation actually happens. And the nature of the program has really been sort of emergency. We need to be providing this space for people to be able to get out of their apartments and do it in a socially distant way, especially with the weather getting nicer. We started to see a lot of overcrowding in parks, so we wanted to sort of provide that relief. So things are, you know, now we have about 45 miles of open streets citywide now, so the pace is starting to slow down a little bit. We're committed to get up to 100 miles. So we are continuing to roll out and vet new locations. But the process has been really fast. And I know that there have been concerns raised sort of among community boards across the city about that process. And we're sort of working.
It's really late, and this is a really long dissertation.
Oh, you're not recognized, Tom.
I get it, but this is like, I've heard this before.
Gavel, knocking my gavel. Thank you, Tom. Okay, this is helpful. So I know that that Berry and some of the earlier streets got rolled out quickly because of it came down from the mayor and we were trying to get this done. But so now this seems like a pretty intense bureaucracy, this chain of command that it's got to go through, and everything else. So is there now guidance on when notice takes place before a street is shut down?
The process is still the same as it was before. And just to be totally clear, the way
From when you make your decision that you're going to close down street X, notice to either the community board or to the electeds or et cetera, what's that? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks?
there's not a specific timeline, but we have been like vetting these and implementing them on a rolling basis. So that's why it's been so quick, and we're currently following that same process now. So I don't know that there's going to be changes to that timeline. We are trying to provide as much notice as we can, but sort of as soon as a tranche of locations is approved, we're trying to install them right away. So, the operational vetting happens, and then we let you folks know, and then we try to get out there and do it.
Okay. And I'm guessing that this is kind of a nose under the tent for after the plague is passed, that we're going to be looking at open streets on a going forward basis. Is that something that we can expect to see? And you can
Sorry,
say,
I lost you at the beginning there.
are we expecting to see this after Corona is over?
So, the mayor has said that, like, as long as we're doing social distancing, we can expect to see open streets. I'm sure there's going to be some locations which we will propose other improvements if it's something similar, or maybe it looks a little different, as part of our other public space programs. But if that's the case, if we're going to do something longer term at one of these locations, sort of in a post-social distancing world, we'll be going through our normal process and coming back to you with those proposals and doing our rigorous traffic analysis and all of that, our typical.
Okay, thank you. Committee? Comments? Questions for for Stephanie? Sorry. Okay, public. Tom, go.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
All right. My understanding of the purpose of open streets was for space for social distancing and to be contiguous, parallel, or connected to parks to allow additional space for walking, running, playing, cycling, non-carbon related activities. And way back in whenever this started, consultations were made with the precincts about what streets would be appropriate near the parks and what streets might not be appropriate. We got a list on May 22nd that said South 9th Street between Berry and Driggs, Grand Street between Roebling and Marcy, and all of a sudden we had Berry Street. Who asked for Berry Street? And now that there's less social distancing on Berry Street, can that be reversed? Because I don't know that anybody's doing any kind of open air activities. It's more like the bars providing party space.
That's one.
And what are the hours? My understanding was the hours were 8 to 8, but it seems like Berry Street is closed like all the time. So I'm just wondering how that happened.
So the program, there's definitely a number of locations that are adjacent to parks and are sort of expanding on the park space, but the program itself is not tied to park locations. It's street citywide, and in a lot of instances, we're targeting areas specifically that don't have a lot of open space to provide that space for folks. I don't know who requested Berry Street. I can certainly find out. It could have been as simple as a community request. Somebody who was in the area made the request and we found it operationally feasible. The locations across the city are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all the places that are managed by the police department. There are a number of locations across the city, but it's a small percentage of the whole that are managed by partners like BIDS or alliances, and those have some varying hours. But the Berry Street location is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so that's when the barriers should be set up that are letting cars know that it's not for through traffic during those times.
And since there's a lot of businesses on Bedford Street, was Bedford Street ever considered to be like a permanent open street, so it is always a pedestrian street? Has that been considered at all?
I don't know that Bedford has been considered. I think Bedford has a bus that runs on it. And so we wouldn't.
Can't do it on
We've been specifically avoiding bus routes for our open streets because we don't want to be disrupting bus service.
Yeah, the most noise I've heard is about Berry Street. I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but that's where we're getting a lot of noise. That's all.
Okay. Will, you want to talk about Russell?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm. There's just been a lot of people online complaining about the barrier on Russell and that it's not. I don't know what the solution is. Just that people are barreling down the street, moving it. There was a video of a front end loader going at pretty dangerous speeds down the street, and so I don't know, just relaying that there's been a lot of feedback from people living in Warwick Park that it's been an issue keeping the barrier in place.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge citywide at a lot of these locations. Somebody moves the barrier and doesn't move it back. Or isn't a fan of the location and chooses to move it. So it is something that we're working on. If you're seeing specific issues, please feel free to reach out to us. You can tweet us or you can send an email to the Borough Commissioner. We see that happening. If we have a staff member in the area, we'll often ask them to go out and check on it. Or we'll work with the local precinct to ask somebody to go out and replace the barrier. If there's damage to the barrier, we're trying to get those replaced as well. So definitely let us know when you're seeing that.
Ryan?
I was just gonna say that, like, the reputation of Berry is unfair. There's 2 spots where people drink on a street on a closure that goes all the way from Broadway to North 14th. And if you're out, I mean, I live at Metropolitan in Berry. There's like people learning how to ride bikes. There's all sorts of recreation and all of that stuff happening. Overall, it's a great experiment and it's working really well. Some of the restaurants, like, I mean, I don't think that Shake Shack gets it solved the problem. Before the street was open, the pickup line at Shake Shack was blocked the whole sidewalk and you could not walk by and socially distance. With the street, they're able to do it. The veterinarian is the same. There's lots of places. As far as it opening, Tom, that's the NYPD. They've come through twice. The 9-4 comes and opens it, but they don't do it on weekdays just because they don't want to come put it back up in the morning. But that's NYPD is supposed to come and remove them and do it, and they did it on Saturday and Sunday. Okay. They did it in, again, I would say a disrespectful way to the things. I feel like we watched some of the cops kind of break them and do it, and so people were out there fixing them with like screw drills and stuff. But I think, again, having a discussion with the 9-0 and 9-4, and again, it was really goofy because the 9-0 did it one night, the 9-4 did it both nights. They need to have some coordination, and then they have to come put it back up in the morning. And I just think that they don't. But I will tell you that everyone drives through, people get out and move it. Like the trucks going to Whole Foods making the deliveries, they still do it. Like people still use the street and access it and do all the things.
Well, we're trying to get the police department to have less things to enforce. So if somebody's going to be doing open streets, well, they should do it. They're much more community oriented than the cops.
It doesn't need to, but the thing is, it doesn't really need to be open again at 8 p.m. If people want anyways, where we are on the other end of it, it's better to keep it all through the night. It creates people can jog, do all the things. It makes it safer. I don't know. I mean, again, we're talking about 1 bar, 2 bars.
Well, Ryan, the problem has been that the governor and the mayor have been very unclear in what things are, and people are getting very confused, and then it gets crazy. So it's like trying to get clarity on what the rules are so we can just say, this is what's happening. Like with the SLA and the whole thing about to go is not to go. It's take out whatever, but they never explained it. The new thing about the opening on Monday, the mayor's not agreeing with the governor, and everybody's like, what the hell's going on? So I just want to know what the rules are. That's all. And I would love
Well,
that the DOT had its own people that went out and did enforcement rather than cops.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the people can't go inside and drink. People are out on the streets, and it's I don't know. I'm not even gonna go into, but in general, on Barry, it's I mean,
good?
again,
All right.
I think Barry, I mean, yeah, I would say again, anyone, I come out like this morning, where the vet is, there's people, literally, these one people bring out 10 bikes and kids learn how to ride bikes. It all day long. It's very good. I will agree that on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, people from outside the neighborhood come and congregate at a few spots, and
Okay.
they aren't social distancing. But I don't know, again, if we're like, it's people are not social distancing all over.
I know. But I got it. You know,
I mean,
I don't want to. Okay.
I get all these emails. I just got to get the information. That's all. The next one's going to be how we're going to close the sidewalk, the side of the road parking spaces. That's going to be the next exciting.
Right. So, Stephanie, Karen, 1 second before you. Let's. As long as Tom brought that up,
Curbside eating. They're calling it curbside eating.
Was Keith was on that meeting with Antonio? Yes, as I recall.
I don't know who all was there.
Anyway, Stephanie. So, do you know what this is about? Yes, they're planning on taking parking spaces away temporarily to allow like street seats type things for bars and restaurants to expand their restaurant until we can like fully open or whatever. Do you have any insights on that?
So we're actively working with our other agency partners in City Hall on developing a program to help the industry. And I think that something's going to be announced very soon about how that's going to look. But I don't have details that I can share at this moment. But I think there'll be some more information out very soon about it.
Yeah, 'cause the notice that went out was that it was DOT, DOH, and Consumer Protection working together. But
Right.
if we go to phase 2 on Monday, people are going to be putting their tables out in the street on Monday. So
They're already putting the tables out on the street. Okay, I'm sorry, Karen. Karen. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that we did receive, the Transportation Committee did receive, in response to someone thinking that they actually returned Berry back as, took it away as an open street, that there is support from the families on Berry Street for it to remain an open street. And again, like Eric said, this, the other issues, it really is an enforcement issue. So I just wanted to point that out. The second thing that I do want to ask is, once we go into phase 2, how is it working as far as like vehicle counts and, as the businesses get back to business and more deliveries occur, as far as traffic counts? And my only concern is if there's additional parking, since vehicles are still allowed to go through these streets. I'm concerned about safety and conflicts with the pedestrians and the kids who are, saying, hey, this is an open street, you're not allowed down here, and vehicles starting to go through. So I'm concerned as far as safety, how that's going to work when, especially, we don't have cops that are physically there. We don't have anyone physically there to kind of monitor that. So I was just wondering about the phasing and how the open streets, will open streets phase out? Or do we, how does that work?
Yeah, eventually open streets will phase out. Most of these locations won't be permanently, closed to traffic or local access only. Like I said before, some might look a little bit different than they initially did, but we'll come back to you for a full process if that is the case at a location in CB1. In terms of that phasing timeline, that's really unclear right now. I think we will start to evaluate that, as we start to see traffic increase more throughout the city, as we sort of get back to business. It is something we've started talking about. I don't have any concrete answers for you right now. We can certainly keep you updated on how that is going to look, but it is something we're starting to talk about because some of these locations will have higher volumes as people start returning to normal business.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marie is already getting requests for the municipal extension of seating forms that the liquor authority wants. So if you can find out who's going to be doing that, because there's some procedure if the city is giving up city space for restaurants to use or bar, and then they need to extend their license to cover that new territory. They have to have some kind of certificate from the city saying, we know they're using our sidewalk. Where's that going to come from? I'm sure you don't know now, but that's something that the board office is going to need to know because people are like they think we're the ones that are going to approve it like we do with liquor licenses. And I don't think that's going to be the process.
Right. So we're working really closely with the FLA on developing what that process could look like. We don't, we don't have it totally ironed out yet, but
right.
We're talking to them and we're hoping that we can create something that's really streamlined for the industry, for the city, for all the CBs, so that this isn't, a huge administrative problem for anyone.
Let us know as soon as you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I know Ryan wanted to be recognized, but she stepped away from her camera. Anybody else?
Because these restaurants and bars are chomping at the bit and they want to be able to do it right, but they also don't want to have to sit around and wait. So
yeah, the process that we're working on coming up with will be very quick, or that's the hope, like I said, not totally ironed out yet, but we're trying to create something that's going to be really quick, really simple for folks.
And the other one is those people who have
weighed down by it.
Those people who have private property that they've not used before, like a parking lot, are they going to have to get like a Department of Health sign off or something if they put their tables and chairs out in their parking lot?
That I'm not sure, but we can certainly. I know there are people thinking about that. I just don't know the answer. And we'll definitely let you know sort of what all those different types of spaces look like and what the rules and regulations are going to be utilized.
Okay. Yeah, because the governor announced it and everybody's like, whoa! Phase 2 on Monday. Whoa, who are the forms? Did Ryan come back?
Ryan, did you want to chime in?
I was just saying again on Berry, because we have a construction site right here on North 3rd that's had to come in and use and move the barriers, that like if people like we've had the opposite sort of thing happening than it seems like what they're having on Russell Street. We have people being like car drivers and everyone being very respectful because Metropolitan is busy and lots of people kind of have to turn on and use that little part. And I'm gonna have to say we haven't had any like conflicts or craziness. It's been like people have been very helpful to drivers that need to get through. And I just want to say that like I think that sometimes the experiment works exactly like it's how it's supposed to. Again, I really don't understand why Russell people are doing that, but here on Berry, it's people have really like kind of come together and enjoyed it and put it together. And again, I think a lot of people that live here are really upset about the bars that are exploiting it. And I'll say on our street, it actually gives us a break because Skinny Dennis takes over the sidewalk with their line that people can be in the street. So our bar that's next to us doesn't violate the rule, but it allows us to go around them. So it's, I mean, again, it's a thin line, but we've had good issues with trucks coming through and all that stuff because like I said, we have a bunch of construction right here. And I think the restaurants, I mean, having eavesdropped on Babar a little bit, I think the restaurants are freaking out because they don't understand what's happening either, Tom. And
No, they don't. They've been calling me.
yeah, no, that's the thing. They're all losing their mind. And like a lot of them don't want to push it or don't understand even what they're supposed to do, and it's a real chaos.
No, and I go like the regulations for phase 2 require people to sit, and all of our bars have been standing. So I don't know how that's going to work.
All right. Well,
the rules are crazy.
Is working. I don't want to get into a whole sidewalk cafe issue more than we have because we really don't have answers, and it's 9:30 people. This is like almost like an SLA meeting, Tom. It's like the old days.
We don't have a governor and a mayor who will give us any direction. That's our problem.
So okay, I just want to say that we're going to keep an eye on the open streets process. I'm sorry that I didn't get any NCOs to come in, but we'll dedicate the next transportation committee meeting. We'll keep this as an open topic, and we'll have NCOs in to really drill down in what the real problems are. Because, you know, DOT, you're following orders from the mayor, you're picking streets, there's a process, there's a bureaucracy. We would like to know more transparency on that. I think that's my main concern. But once it's done, it comes down to NYPD, sanitation, FDNY, and we really need to, hear from them as to either why they're not doing it or where they are doing it or what's working, what's not working, and everybody needs to like talk about it and fix it so it works for everybody.
This is fun.
And Willis has a question. Okay, so that's the end of that discussion. I guess we'll do new business, old business. Old business, does anybody from DOT still on the call have an update on West Street as an open street? I know I saw something today where from Levin's office that key to Greenpoint Avenue is a go for weekends. I don't know if anybody else saw that. But more than that, if anybody knows anything, DOT. I know Rhonda's having a problem getting in.
That segment, West Street from K to Greenpoint, is being vetted by that internal city group right now. But I think it will likely be part of the next round. I don't want to promise anything, but it's sort of winding its way through that approval process.
Okay.
And that would be managed by the Brooklyn Greenway Initiative, that location.
Willis, anything to add?
No, that's great. I just was curious if there was any other stuff happening. So thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so that's old business. Oh, no, it's old business and on topic. So we'll just call it agenda item 4. Business. I'm like current now. It's like 9:35. Old business. New business. This went much better than expected. I got to say, Jessica Kronstein, you stood for the whole thing. You're a wonder. Thank you for that. And looks like
Greg's still here too.
And Stephanie, you are, but we saved you for last. You know, you're the closer.
No, Greg. I was saying Greg is here too.
Yeah. Greg's still hanging in too.
Here too, yes.
Community board.
Troopers. And I know Rhonda's there too, but she's a trooper. Okay, so motion to adjourn. All in favor, aye. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. And don't forget to submit comments on the BQE exit thing to me by Monday, and we'll get working on that for July, and I'll let you know when the next meeting is happening.
And Eric, we
Guys.
need to talk about the other thing, not now.
Yes, I know. Tomorrow, maybe. I'm actually off for once. Okay. Bye all. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Eric.
night.
Bye.
Everybody.